Imagine two powerful rivals, each with their own interests and ambitions, locked in a struggle for dominance on the world stage. Instead of clashing head-on, these rivals avoid direct confrontation by backing opposing sides in a smaller, often distant conflict. Rather than sending their own armies, they provide money, weapons, training and strategic advice to their chosen proxies, local groups or factions willing to fight on their behalf. This is the essence of a proxy war, major powers using others as stand-ins, turning local fighters into pawns in a much larger geopolitical game. Proxy conflicts allow these nations to compete for influence, territory, and valuable resources, all while avoiding the devastating risks of a direct, all-out war between themselves. By supporting proxies, these countries can publicly deny any direct involvement, maintaining plausible deniability, even as their secret aid continues to fuel and escalate the conflict. On the ground, local fighters may believe they're fighting for their own freedom or cause, but often they're also advancing the hidden agendas of distant, more powerful nations. The real decisions and strategies are made far from the battlefield, in government offices and war rooms, turning what might have been a local dispute into a crisis with global consequences. Understanding how proxy wars work is essential for making sense of many of today's most complex and persistent conflicts around the world. The Middle East stands as a prime example of how proxy wars play out in today's world, with powerful nations using local conflicts to advance their own interests from afar. In Yemen, Iran backs the Houthi rebels, while Saudi Arabia and its allies support the government, turning what began as a local struggle into a prolonged humanitarian disaster that has devastated communities and left millions in need. In Syria, Russia and Iran support the Assad regime, while the US, Turkey, and other countries back various rebel groups, each with their own agendas, fueling a conflict that has drawn in fighters and resources from around the globe. This outside support has fractured the opposition, intensified the violence, and prolonged the suffering of ordinary people, making the path to peace even more complicated. These wars are fueled by a constant flow of foreign money and weapons, trapping civilians in endless cycles of violence and uncertainty, with no clear end in sight. Local grievances become entangled with global rivalries, making peace elusive and negotiations fragile, as outside powers pursue their own interests over the needs of the people. The people of Yemen and Syria never chose to be pawns in these power games, yet they are the ones who pay the highest price, losing homes, loved ones, and hope for the future. Despite living thousands of miles away, leaders in distant capitals shape the destinies of millions, making decisions that ripple through shattered cities and refugee camps. Proxy wars make conflicts longer, deadlier, and far more difficult to resolve, as each side digs in, hoping for victory that rarely comes. This is the grim reality for millions caught in the crossfire. Families torn apart, futures stolen, and lives forever changed by wars they never wanted. For ordinary people, proxy wars mean daily fear and uncertainty. Every morning, families wake up unsure if they will make it through the day unharmed. Their lives overshadowed by the constant threat of violence. Explosions and gunfire become routine. Simple tasks like shopping or going to school are dangerous. Streets that once bustled with life now echo with the sounds of conflict, forcing people to risk their safety for basic necessities. Infrastructure collapses, roads, hospitals, and businesses are destroyed, leading to poverty and hunger. With each attack, access to medical care, food, and clean water becomes more limited, pushing communities to the brink. Families are displaced, children lose access to education, and communities are torn apart by manipulated divisions. Neighbors become strangers as trust erodes, and families are forced to leave behind everything they know. Humanitarian crises erupt. Starvation, disease, and overwhelmed hospitals become the norm. Aid is scarce, and relief workers struggle to reach those most in need amid ongoing violence. The trauma is deep. Children grow up knowing only war, some even forced to fight. Their innocence is stolen, replaced by memories of loss and fear that will shape their futures. The suffering is immense, created by distant powers who rarely see the consequences. The pain and grief linger long after the bombs stop falling, leaving communities shattered. Survival becomes a daily struggle. Every meal, every drop of water is hard-won, and hope is often in short supply. Proxy wars devastate societies, leaving scars that last for generations. The destruction is not just physical but emotional and cultural, erasing the fabric of once thriving communities. The true cost is paid by those farthest from the decision-makers. It is the innocent who bear the heaviest burden, their lives forever changed by conflicts they did not choose. The damage from proxy wars lingers long after the fighting ends. Societies are left divided and mistrustful, flooded with weapons and prone to renewed violence. Political systems are often weak or corrupt, shaped by those who fought, not those who can govern. Rebuilding is slow, cities in ruins, landmines remain, and trauma persists. Foreign aid becomes a lifeline, but also a source of dependency. Regional instability spreads, fueling refugee crises and extremism. Even when the guns fall silent, the wounds economic, social, and psychological remain. The legacy of proxy wars is a cycle of instability that can last for decades. Despite the devastation, hope for peace remains. Awareness of the true human cost can pressure leaders to change course. Powerful nations must prioritize diplomacy over conflict, supporting inclusive peace processes. Regional cooperation and shared prosperity offer alternatives to endless rivalry. The people caught in proxy wars are not chess pieces. They deserve a future free from violence. By demanding accountability and choosing cooperation, we can break the cycle. Building peace is difficult, but it's a goal worth striving for, so children everywhere can grow up without fear. The path forward is challenging, but together, a better future is possible.